real estate is not immune from these kinds of scams. And I'm going to tell you about the sort of internet-based scam that hit us a couple of times last year, and I suspect we'll see again here in Lincoln as the year wears on. We haven't had one yet. And it involves properties that are advertised by a bogus owner as rentals. And here's what happens. I find out that there's a house in Lincoln, Nebraska. I don't even ever have to have been to Lincoln, Nebraska before, but I find out that this house is in foreclosure, so it's sitting vacant, it's been vacant for quite a while. Nobody knows who the previous owner is. Previous owner's long gone. Not real risky that multiple buyers are going to be coming by to look at it, or that it's going to be serviced on a daily basis by a real estate agent who's checking in on it. Instead, it's just sitting here, waiting in limbo. And there's a little bit of online information about this house: its address, its square footage, the assessor's information, maybe even a listing. And your bogus renter, me, I put up an ad on Craigslist advertising this place for rent. 1,800 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And I advertise it for rent. I get a few nibbles on that. One of those nibbles comes from somebody who gets a little bit serious about it. I send them some photos of the place that I've simply gotten by right-clicking on a real estate website, save as. Oh, here, I'm attaching a photo of the kitchen. We just redid it last year. That's granted. And before long, you think that this is a pretty good buy and a pretty reasonable rent that I'm asking for this house. And since you're moving here from Lansing, Michigan, and need a place to stay until you've got your feet on your ground, you're more than happy to send me the first month's rent and a damage deposit, so that no one else rents it out before you even get here. And that goes to my bogus address in Boca Raton, where I collect your check and go on my merry way. I might even rent this house to several different people and get multiple first month rents and damage deposits before anyone catches on to me. Now these cases are they're about as close to impossible to solve as you can imagine. You always have bogus addresses, bogus names, post office boxes, maybe temporary addresses. A lot of times you've got an intermediary that's involved in this, so even though I'm the one that claims to be the owner of this that wants to rent the home, I'm asking you to, since I'm being deployed to Afghanistan, I'm asking you to send this to my fiance's new address in London, where she's living right now. So not a real common scam here in Lincoln, primarily because we don't have that many foreclosures, but it's been pretty common in other parts of the country. We have had a couple of cases here in Lincoln, so something to be alert of. I don't know how you protect yourself against that. Obviously, someone who's a listing agent that's checking on the property regularly is probably more likely to notice something going on than a property that's doesn't really have anyone tending after it for several months consecutively. I think if I ran the business, one of the things I might be doing is checking regularly, once a week or so, listings on Craigslist in Lincoln, Nebraska, and just making sure that none of my properties are listed as for rent. We'll keep you advised. If this starts picking up and we see more of these cases, you'll be hearing about it and reading about it from us. I wouldn't worry too much about it unless we start having an uptick in these. But it's a real growing problem around the country, and real easy way to make money. Again, hard to believe that anyone would rent a home sight unseen, but there are lots of people who do that. Probably a lot of people in this room that have rented a vacation, condo sight unseen, and just taken it as an act of faith. The person that they're talking to really is an accountant in Lakewood who really does have a condo in Dillon that he or she is trying to rent. So I think we're used to those kinds of transactions, and that's probably why this scam is a pretty good one. It's because we've all become fairly accustomed to these kinds of transactions. Now, a couple of things might be of interest to realtors. We've haven't had a lot of this, but over the years we've experienced a kind of a steady stream of this, and I think it's something that we may see more of until economic conditions really improve pretty markedly. And that's people that are just moving into properties, what I would call squatters. They'll find a vacant house and a vacant apartment and simply move into it. A lot of this goes on in the near south portion of Lincoln, where you'll suddenly find someone that has occupied apartment number 3B at 1420 D Street. They're not the renter, they just managed to get themselves in there, and they've set up housekeeping in their apartment, maybe for quite some time before anyone really realizes it. More commonly, you'll have squatters that move in and take up residence in common areas, laundry rooms, basements, sometimes even garages. So we see a trickle of those. We're going to make, probably in the course of the year, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 or 3 dozen arrests for trespassing under those circumstances. I think it's a key control, making sure those common access doors to multiplexes are kept locked and locks are in good repair is a great way to avoid or at least minimize the chance of that happening. So those are the things that I thought might be of interest to you. What would you like to hear from me?